Hi, Jess. Let me know when you can hear me. It looks like your audio hasn't quite connected yet, but it does look like you're in the classroom, so that's good. Oh, it looks like it's trying to connect audio now. Hi. Can you hear me? Oh, not yet. Now can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, perfect.
I'm trying
How?
to get my headphones working for it, but I think it
Oh,
might work. Actually, my audio on here is really pretty nice.
Oh, okay, perfect. And honestly, if you want, we can actually reset it for the musician settings. So if you go to the audio, the little arrow next to the mic, and you go into audio settings, and then you scroll down, you can select original
Wait.
sound for musicians.
Can you say that again? What'd you
Yeah.
say?
So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you look at
Yeah.
the microphone where it says audio, there's the little arrow next to it. If you click that little arrow,
Okay.
and then you're in your settings, you just scroll down. It's going to say audio profile in bold. And then normally it has it set for background noise removal, but we're going to click on original sound for musicians instead. And
I
then it
don't
doesn't
see
do that
that.
thing where it like edits stuff out and mutes things.
Um,
So it's,
Audio profile. I had to like open up the whole thing. So
oh
like,
yeah.
and then you said put it on low.
You're going to pick original sound for musicians is
Oh, I
the,
see.
yeah, is the one to click there. And then otherwise, you can kind of just leave it setting wise normal. And it's a two step. So once you click that in the top right corner of the screen, there's going to be a place where you can select original sound for musicians on or off. And we want it to be on.
Okay, it has it original sound for musicians. I clicked that and then it
Yeah.
has like a subsection for
Mm-hmm.
high fidelity music mode, echo cancellation, and stereo audio.
So
Echo
probably the echo
cancellation.
cancellation might be really helpful. The other two, I feel like you don't really necessarily need. They'll make you have to have higher internet levels and such. But I feel like the echo cancellation can be really nice. So,
Oh, oh, I don't know if this is something that I might have to pay for.
oh
It
really?
says upgrade now. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe I don't have to pay for that, but it looks like it's no, it is it's good now.
oh okay. It's just like an ad that they popped up.
Maybe, yeah, I think so. So
Oh,
I'm right
funny.
in front of like a light and a window, so I'm really
Okay.
might be like washed out on it, but this
like
is yeah.
like Morticia or something, right? Like very pale with your flowing dark hair. Alrighty, so good. So then once you're back to the regular screen, in the top right corner, you just click original sound for musicians on. It has like on and off. So you just like click it in that top corner and it's on and we're good to go. Perfect. So now you won't
Okay.
have an issue with like
Hey.
sometimes if one person's talking, it mutes the other and vice versa. And like background
Oh,
noise, it'll try to filter out. So for music, we just want it to let the sound go where it needs to go, and that way
yeah,
we can do
yeah.
everything together. So it's just to help us with that. So happy
Nice.
holidays, happy new year. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and lots of good food and rest and love. And how is your new job going? Because that's pretty
That
recent.
sorry, I'm like
It's okay.
dropping things. The new year, not so great. But
Oh
that's okay. We lost one of our pets yesterday.
no, I'm so
Um, It's
sorry.
okay. It was not a great first day of the new year, but we're
Yeah.
okay now. It
Oh.
was just really unexpected, so
Oh
but it was
wow.
yeah, it's okay. It was just it. I don't want to like downplay it or anything, but it was one of our it's our turtle, but
Oh,
still she's very uh
dear, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I cry when my fish
So
die, so I get it. Like,
yeah,
I'll like
so
call my mom and cry and be like, Snowflake died, and she's like, oh,
yeah.
honey, you've had him for a long time, and I'm like, I
Yeah, it was
know.
I think it was just like we figured, she would end up going like from old age in like the next
Yeah,
5 years or so.
sure.
But I think she, like without going into too many sad details, I think it like wasn't, it was kind of a struggle. So there was she,
Aw.
yeah. So and then she passed away. So it was
Oh,
really
she got
hard for
sick.
us to be like, oh my God. But
Oh,
anyway, to
I'm
not bring
sorry.
down the mood. No, it's okay. The new job is wonderful and
Oh,
super flexible
good.
and
Nice.
just really amazing. I get to work from home and just
Yay.
kind of like I get to work from home 3 days out of the week and then two in
Okay.
office, but like
Yeah,
still
that's nice.
really good. Yeah, and it's just a lot of, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. A good change, a good shift in your life then. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
happy
well,
about
I'm
it.
very
So,
sorry about your pet. I know, like, my husband had a dream that one of our dogs died, and I was like, oh my gosh, like,
oh,
I teared up. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, of our three, I think he'll be the first to go, but hopefully not for a long time.
oh,
He's only
yeah.
like 6.5.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean,
But
it's
I was
never
like, don't say
easy.
that.
It's just, yeah, there was just like a lot of
Yeah.
not great, fun
Oh,
times yesterday, but we're doing all right today, just kind of
yeah.
recovering and
Loving
yeah,
on your dogs, right?
I
Extra
know.
extra
Yeah, spending a
snuggles
lot
with
of time with
them.
them. So,
Yeah. Oh,
mhm.
so as we are coming into this new year, I'd love to kind of chit chat about goals for this year, things that you're
Yeah.
wanting to focus on and move towards. So I know that you had a really great holiday season with your performances, and you did such a beautiful job with
Thank
that. I'm so
you.
excited. So as we're going into this new year, I know last year you had a couple roles you really had your heart set on, and it was just like, oh, it didn't work out. But you did have some pretty encouraging responses there with like,
Yeah.
having people tell you positive things or like, getting to showcase your, being able to go in and do auditions and like get that positive feedback and, network with other people and things like that. And I had another student who had a really similar year where she had a couple roles that she was just really, really set on. And she even like got a call back and it was only her and one other girl. And I remember like they ended up going with the other person, basically, I think because they've worked with her multiple times and like know they can trust her in that role.
Yeah.
But then my student was like, I really feel like I took their feedback and like did what they asked for. And I don't feel like she did. And I was like, I don't understand. And
Oh,
I was like,
I
you're
that's the same.
taller. They don't
Yeah.
know you. You've never worked with them. Like there are a lot of factors in play. But she was like, I worked so hard. And then she didn't end up getting it. And it was really, really heartbreaking. But, in spite of that, I think you ended up getting to put yourself out there to really polish up some great auditions, connecting with other people,
Yeah.
showcasing what you can do. And the thing is, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember you in the future, think of you for other things, maybe reach out and be like, hey, I think you'd be great for this. Can you come to auditions? So I want you to be thinking that it is a positive. Um, Oh, it seems like we got just a little glitchy there. So, a lot of positives there. And, also keep in mind that, like, people in the professional world, this happens for all the time too. And it can be like it when it rains, it pours. Like the guy who played Aladdin in the live action Disney film, it was like a couple years later, and people were like, oh, I bet since then I read this interview with him. They were like, I bet you've had so many opportunities. He was like, no. He was like, I've had honestly like two auditions through my agents this year. And he was like,
Wow.
no, like I really haven't. You'd think so, but no. And
Yeah.
so it's a constant like, it's just a really tough world. And then, you have to keep in mind too that often I have found that particularly here in Indiana, things can be very insular. Like they have a team that's like their friends and people they've worked with for a long time. And so breaking in can sometimes be tricky. And a lot of the time it's like, we don't have anybody who can play this role. And then you're like, I can. And then that's like how you wiggle your way in.
Yeah.
And so, but I watched Elf this holiday season and I thought of you because I was like, oh, you'd be so perfect in that role. So yeah, like I just feel like keeping kind of it with a grain of salt, and it did take me a couple years of just like auditioning for every single thing that I
Yeah.
could in this area to get into things. And then at this point, I've pretty much performed with like, I mean, I know almost everyone, and if I don't, then they at least know of me. And I've performed with pretty much every organization that I would like to. But it took me several years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And at this point, like I have stepped back from performing live a little bit just to focus on some other things. But people still reach out and be like, oh, hey, are you coming to auditions? Like, we'd love to, see what you're doing. And we think you'd be good for certain characters or whatnot. And I've had to say, oh, I'm like working on some film projects and doing a lot of voiceover and I'm doing my own recording of music and stuff. And so, like, I don't really have time, but thank you. But it took a while to get to that point. And so, keep putting yourself out there, I would say. And then also with your other performances, people are going to notice those kind of things. And if you're wanting to do more of that kind of a thing, then I definitely can kind of give you suggestions.
You asked me what my goals were, and then I haven't told you yet.
Yeah. Okay. So
You're like,
tell
if that's
me.
what you want to do, I'm like, well, let me just tell you.
Tell me.
Well, so I plan on really doing a lot more with the jazz. And I
Good.
really
Okay.
appreciate how much you've kind of like kind of got me into that
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that's something that like I already feel really comfortable in vocally. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the like improvisation of it. I've
Nice.
just been listening and singing it since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been actually, I don't know if I had told you or like, like I don't know, but I've been going and hanging out with Bob like all the time now. It's like almost every week. So
Aww.
yeah,
Love it.
he's really been like so amazing and honestly like become such like a sweet, kind soul that I know. Like
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you introduced us because he's just like I feel like I can um really trust his the words he's saying, and it's also not so
Mm.
much that he's like giving me feedback because he's like I'm not a music teacher, I'm not a voice teacher, but like we're just having fun, and he's like helping me feel like get more comfortable with a lot of things that I just haven't done in front of people before. So
Mm.
like I really love to like scat, and I really don't do that in front of
Yay.
anybody, but I've told him and I've shown him that like I can really keep up with it and I can sound really good and like I feel really good with it, but I'm like I'm a little nervous to do it in public, like
Yeah.
to like really commit and like do it in front of people. And so
Hmm.
we've been working on that a little bit and just like feeling the music and kind of I guess he's kind of teaching me like the rules. So I guess you
Yeah.
could say he's kind of like a mentor, which is
Yeah.
really sweet. So he's just been amazing, and I've gone to the Jazz Kitchen the last 2 Mondays.
Oh, good.
I think once I get my songs down, I think I'm gonna go and do it. So I'll
Love
let you
it.
know whenever I do
Yeah.
that. Um,
Nice.
and then like I guess it's like three kind of parts.
Okay.
So that's really my main, like not my main thing, but like that's something that I'm really leaning into and
Yeah.
trying to learn. And something outside of this
Mm.
that I really just haven't done too much of is like the music theory side and like learning like
Mm.
knowing what key I'm in, just
Yeah.
like that and all of that. And then my second thing, and it kind of looks hand in hand with the third, but the second thing is I'm going to be doing another show or another
Oh, goody.
like singing performance in February, and
Okay.
it's with the same group of people.
Great.
Um, the lady that reached out before, She, it was such a positive experience for the Christmas ball, and
Yeah.
she kind of like pulled me to the side and was like, look, I've been really, I really love your sound. She gave me a lot of great feedback on like she says that I have an old time radio sound, and I
Love it.
love that version of singing as well. So that's something that I
Hmm.
really think that I'm going to lean into. She's talking about
Yeah.
going and doing shows, even like out of state shows and things
Yeah.
like that. So
Touring a little bit. Love it.
yeah, so that's something, that's the second thing, which it's funny because I know you said like earlier when like you said, when it rains it pours, but like also this has all just happened in the last couple of months, and I'm just
Hmm.
so grateful, but also so surprised that all this stuff just started coming at me at once, and like all these wonderful
Yeah.
opportunities. Um, so yeah, but then my third is I'm still planning on, trying to be active in the musical theater community. Um, I
Hmm.
haven't seen any of the theaters that I'm interested in. I haven't seen any of them do their 25, 26 show calendars yet. So
Okay.
I don't know if there's any like that I'm like gonna go for. But I do want
Yeah.
to focus more on working at Footlight, maybe
Yeah.
picking up a show there. And I do know that, like for this, I guess, lesson here, um, I really want to try and go for Kinky Boots again because I feel like I
Okay.
need some redemption. Even if I don't get a role, I feel like I need some redemption to like be like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm good. I feel like I've had a lot of really positive like mental transformation from where I was at, last year, with really just getting beaten down and kind of feeling like, am I doing the right thing? Am I wasting my time?
Yeah.
Because I am getting older, and that was one of the things with like the last audition that I did.
Hmm.
I I do think I did really well in that audition. I think that they liked me. They asked me to read, then they asked me for a callback. I took the notes that they had given to
Hmm.
all of us and to another girl, and then also incorporated that. And he, even said like, "Hey, I noticed you did that. Thank you for that." Um, and there was a long waiting period to hear about if I got the role or not. So I know that
Hmm.
like I think there was some thought in it, and I think like I'm not gonna like go and like make up the reasons why, but I think she was an older lady, not older like but I think she was like the age for the role, and I
Yeah.
was younger, um, and I think they had. It looked like they had a callback for somebody that was my age and
Hmm.
somebody that was her age in the opposing role, and they went with that man, and then they went with her, and so I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. I feel like maybe
Hmm.
it just wasn't meant for me. um
Yeah.
and it kind of fell into my lap anyway. It was something where like somebody in the community reached out really randomly, gave me just an incredible compliment out of nowhere, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna audition tomorrow, and I did, and so it was really good. I think it mentally it was really good for me. So
Hmm.
so yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. Awesome. So Kinky Boots auditions are coming up like end of the month, right?
yeah. And I've
Yeah.
got the song that I'm doing, I did for that last
Hmm.
audition.
Yeah.
And I feel really good in it. I really just kind of want to like sand
Hmm.
those edges and make sure that I'm feeling comfortable. It is super belty and I feel good in it, but I also want to make sure I'm not straining too much
Yeah.
when I get to a little bit of the higher end on it.
Hmm.
But I did it at the last one and I felt really good about it. So I think and it's Rent, so it's pop rocky. So it'll
Yeah.
fit Kinky Boots really well. Um, So it's the take me or leave me, but I'm doing the Adina Menzel version, like her
Okay.
version. So I feel good with it. So
All right. Awesome. I was trying to think some others. So South Bank Theater Company, usually auditions are in July. Another to check out is Storefront Theater,
oh, I haven't heard of
which
these
is
ones.
like largely female run. So that's something I really
Oh,
love.
okay.
About them and like female heavy shows as well. So that's one to
Yeah.
check out. It's a newer one here in Indy, so that's one I would take a look at. Um, Another you could look at is Sapphire Theater Company, which is like mobile theaters. They take stuff around. Um, oh, when do they normally have auditions?
Now, are these also ones that are community or because I wouldn't be able to take off work or things like that where it's like
South
a
Bank,
mix?
I think is paid. The first one I put in there is volunteer. Wait, no, Storefront is paid. South Bank is volunteer still. So I was thinking of, I had a friend perform with them not too long ago, and it was really cool. Like they had a truck and then they like take theater around basically
Yeah.
for Sapphire Theater Company. I'm not sure when they have their auditions, is the question.
I think the rehearsal schedule would be
Yeah.
more like usually with paid it's like you're doing
hmm
rehearsals for like a couple weeks during the day and that's something I don't think I'd be able to do. So
Yeah,
I
I mean
know
it kind of
yeah,
depends. Like
okay.
additionally like Beef and Boards has main stage and then they have their non-main stage which take less time.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
you
that.
could still audition for them and then like they do like smaller children's theater type things. So for instance, like they'll do Christmas Carol, which is like their smaller show at Christmas, and then they'll do like a big show that's their main stage show. Um, and they'll
Oh,
do like children's theater things that are a smaller commitment. So that might be something to look at. They do have their upcoming season posted already.
okay.
So even some of the paid performance I think you could possibly do. And Beef and Boards, even when they're not having their like regular auditions, you can just submit like your package to them anytime. So if you just want to like have your name in their hat, basically, I think that's an option. Have you thought
Huh.
about doing any more civic theater?
Um, yes. So without getting into too much detail because it just ends up sounding really bad, I had a not so great experience at Civic. And
Mm,
it's the only time that I've like literally in the last like 3 years where I've had any kind of like conflict with like anybody in the
mhm.
state. Um,
Yeah.
and I felt very bullied. And
Um,
I did stand up for myself, and I talked to other people about it. And I think that rumors were maybe spread about me, and it was really hard because I don't have a lot of it really hurt actually because I don't have a lot of like
yeah.
evidence of that, but there was a
Right.
lot of like people just kind of treating me differently.
Oh,
Um,
I hate that.
and it sucks because it was somebody that I felt like we were totally cool with. You know, we were
hmm
it was somebody that was in Elf or you know on the
Oh,
crew of Elf,
yeah.
and I don't know. It was just things were different and then things escalated.
Yeah.
I don't like being yelled at. I don't like being
Yeah.
smacked
I
in
don't
my
either.
face. And I said, "Hey, you're not allowed to do that and that's not
Yeah.
okay." And I came
hmm
back the next day and the stage manager was treating me differently and a couple people that I know they're friends with were kind of treating me differently and I felt like I was kind of like the new kid, and so like, who are you gonna
Yeah.
believe?
I
So
hate that.
I
Right.
yeah. So I just and then I went and did
Well,
another.
there
I
are
did.
plenty
I
of
know.
opportunities here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that stinks. And I
I
hate
still
that.
do it. I think
Yeah.
I just I
And it
went and
sucks when you're
did
like, I'm trying to have boundaries and then people treat me badly because of it. Yeah, I've
so
had like a couple interactions just like in life and performing and stuff where maybe I said something I didn't mean or like I was really nervous like early on when I was younger and I had this one job and I like was just starting and it was like everyone there already knew each other and I was like super anxious and then somebody like forever like even today holds it against me. They're like, "You met me and you didn't even remember." And they're like, "It's different than like forgetting my name. Like you didn't even remember that you
Oh,
met me." And I was like, "I met like 50 people all at once and I was so anxious and so young and like just
yeah,
starting and I'm sorry." And I've apologized to them so many times. They still like make jabs about it to this day. And I'm like, yeah, I was literally like on the verge of
yeah.
having to like go in the bathroom and hyperventilate. That's how anxious I was going in. And I'm like, I
Well,
was young, I was
yeah,
nervous, and they like to this day still like poke at me about it. And I'm like, we have worked together so many times. We've like done Secret Santas together. I'm like, come on. Like,
well, I hope that if I, come in contact with the person or people, I should
that
say,
you
but like
can like work it out. Yeah.
maybe,
But,
but I just feel like I remember feeling this like weird cloud and then feeling like
and it's just
yeah, I went
awkward
in
forevermore. Yeah.
well, I felt like things maybe were said that weren't true, and I did
Which
do
is
another
awful.
audition. Yeah, it's awful. I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I have no control, and I don't know what happened here, but that's
Yeah.
not cool. So, but I also went and auditioned at Civic again, and
Hmm.
it wasn't a bad experience per se, but it wasn't a great
Yeah.
experience, and so I just kind of felt like, well, maybe
Right.
I had already been focusing on like and hoping to go and do
Yeah.
shows at
Well, there
Footlight, and
are honestly plenty of other places to go. I just looked up Carmel Community Players is like small,
yes,
but they
and
have
Mud
auditions
Creek
coming
are
up for a musical
those two.
comedy. That would be great to audition for. That's this month. Greenwood
Well,
has a lot of really great stuff. One of my
yeah,
students has done onstage live cabaret, and it's more like concert setting
yeah.
feel. So it's not as fully staged, but I feel like that's great. And I feel like from what she said, they always need more people. From talking to her, like she's like, "Oh yeah, like we always need more people there." Um,
Do
yeah,
you
like
have
and
to
they're
have a
about to
private
have
audition for that one though? I think I knew somebody, and they were like, "Oh, I can help you get an audition," and I think
I'm
I've
putting
looked
the
into it.
link
I think
here. So Carmel Community
oh
Players has auditions coming up. Greenwood Community Theater has auditions coming up. On Stage Live, the Cabaret has
yeah,
auditions coming up, and I just put the link for that.
okay,
Um, and like and my student, like she volunteers there, she's performed there, and like it sounds like they always need more people pretty much.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, I've looked into
Fonseca Theater, have you looked at that?
what?
Fonseca Theater?
Mm-mm. Just
Oh, they do very
mostly
like
Carmel and Mud Creek.
okay, Mud Creek, yeah.
Yeah,
So Fonseca does like their whole thing is doing like promoting equality. So they're very mission focused, I would say. So I would check out them for
okay.
sure. Um,
I will. I want to
yeah.
prioritize a lot of the singing side
Yeah,
for the
for
first
sure.
half of the year
Hmm.
because I feel like just early like spring and early summer is just not great because of my wife and
Yeah, right.
car.
And you're
So
like, I have to focus
yeah.
elsewhere. Yeah.
So I told her, I
Okay.
was like, if I get, kinky boots, then great. And
Yeah.
if I don't know unless it's like the absolute one of my favorite musicals. I don't think
Yeah.
I'll go for any until the summertime.
Sure, yeah. So
Yeah.
Mud Creek doesn't have any auditions posted right now. The last one they did was in
Ugh,
November. So they'll hopefully be posting something new soon. But
yeah.
I think there honestly are a lot of opportunities. Um, so I would say don't get discouraged because there are plenty. So these are all like theatrical opportunities that I just
Yeah.
posted in there. I would check out Beef and Boards and just let them know you're more interested in like this smaller like children's theater type things they do. Carmel Community Players has auditions this month. I would definitely look at that because it's more of
Okay.
a singing show. Um, I would check out Greenwood Community Theater, check out um, On Stage Live, I think they have auditions coming up, and theirs is very open, like bring in jazz, bring in pop, like whatever you
Yeah,
want to do.
yeah, yeah.
Fonseca, just keep an eye on them and just check out what's happening at the Phoenix as well. But I would keep an eye on like storefront theater because it's very like female centric, which I think is kind of a cool mission that they have. Fonseca is like very equality in the world and like mission driven, which I think is cool. Oh, the other I was thinking of is Arts for Lawrence. I used to do a lot with them. And they got this huge grant and have like been able to like expand so much. Like it's been beautiful to see everything that's happened there. Um, but I would check out Arts for Lawrence as well. I'm just going to put a link to their website because they just
Okay,
do beautiful things in their community. And they're great to work with. I
okay,
so enjoyed working with them. And I think my buddy Jay is working there since when I was there and has loved his time there. I don't know if he's still there, but I know that he was working there at least. Um, and I have nothing but good things to say about my experiences with them.
okay.
They were
Yeah.
paid, but they kind of ran more like community theater feel.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think you have plenty of opportunities. And I would say too, like the best thing to do if you have people who've said something negative about you is to go out and show people they're wrong. Like go out and do other
Yeah,
things and thrive and be amazing and develop a great reputation everywhere else so
yeah.
that then people are like, oh, maybe we were wrong and it's like been a while. And even if they believe it is, maybe things have changed. Let's give her another
Right.
shot. Like, but I would say just like move forward.
And that's kind of what I felt like I had to do because
Yeah.
I felt like, there's nothing good is going to come out of, a he said, she said, or
Yeah.
my word against theirs, especially when like the person has known these people for a while. It just
Mhm.
doesn't, there's no reason for me to try and fight for like something like that. And I'm very non-confrontational. I get like heart racing and like I start sweating and I'm just like,
Yeah.
please stop. But like so
Yeah.
but
No, I
I
get that.
feel that like I want to, I have really wonderful connections with some people that I've been meeting, and so yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel like just focusing on like what I'm doing and my reputation and all of that, I don't feel like I need to hold space for something that's
Yeah,
not,
for sure.
you
I
know?
just
So,
found Lawrence has Matilda auditions. I think you would be so fun as like the teacher, or I mean, even if you played like the kooky mom, like she's crazy, but I think she'd be so fun to play. They have
I don't think I've
auditions
ever I've seen
on
the
the
movie.
7th. Matilda
Is
is so fun. I love the music in it. Beautiful. And they also have Alice in Wonderland. Let me see. Oh, it's more of a dance centric show, but I would say Matilda would be a great one. They're doing Matilda the musical. They have some beautiful music in that, and it's just such a magical show. My husband was like, Matilda's like a shonen anime, but for girls. Recently, he said that. I was like, it is.
Aw,
I was like, that's true. She like comes into her power and like takes control of her life and grows, and it's like
right.
everything becomes better, and she gets out of her bad situation. I was like,
Yeah.
you're right. It is. But I think like if you got Miss Penny, that would be amazing. That would be
That'd
such
be
a fun
great.
role.
Yeah.
Or the kooky mom. I think she would be a hoot to play. I really earnestly think she would be so fun. So that might be a really fun one to audition for. So I think you've got some fun options there. So if you just want to like
Yeah.
copy and paste and keep the chat there, I think that would be
Sure.
great.
Yeah. I
And
can.
then
Yeah.
as far as doing more jazz, I definitely can get you in touch with different people and like try to help you kind of do some more with that. I wish Bob was still able to be more like mobile because then he could, like take you out and do some like singing piano stuff, like even just to practice
Oh,
getting your stuff in front of people. But
that's
he
okay.
just
I
can't
mean, he
get out
said
as
that
much anymore.
he wanted to be there for the whatever the first night is that I do it. And
Yay!
so
Yeah.
he also introduced me to David Ponce. Do you know him?
Yeah, he lives
Okay.
like right near Bob and he's
Oh yeah.
great. He's such a
Yeah.
gem. He's a
And he's
sweetie.
yeah, he's wonderful. And
Yeah.
he basically said like because he's really rooting for me too. I've seen him the
Mhm.
couple of Mondays that we went and he's like, "Are you going to get up there?" And I'm like, "Not yet, but like
Yay!
very soon,
Yeah.
very soon." And he said that he offered to Bob that he would go and pick him up and bring him. And
Sure.
I'm like, "This is just so sweet. Like
Oh,
this is
they
just
are.
really really genuinely sweet."
And I,
So,
I think part of it too is like they love jazz so much and they want to see it thrive and stay alive.
yeah.
Like Indianapolis used to
Same.
be a huge jazz hub and like had a whole street that was like jazz centric and like I mean clubs that played jazz all night and
Mm,
so like I think for them it's keeping their love of jazz like going and passing that on and
absolutely.
so it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So singing wise, what would you say would be most helpful to you? I know you said you're auditioning for Kinky Boots, that's a priority. So really like belty focused. And you've got
Um,
your song picked out for that?
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
oh, it's Take Me or Leave Me
Oh
from
yeah.
Rent. Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
and I feel really good with it. I've got,
Good.
like I said, I did it at the last audition and felt
Yeah.
really, you
Solid.
know,
Yeah.
really solid and really confident in it. And I feel
Mhm.
like, even though I was like still, a little nervous, I feel like that was
Mhm.
like the last audition was like the most confidence that I had. Callback and the
Yay.
initial, like I was just there. And
Yeah.
I had you in my brain
Oh,
saying, "Don't tell yourself you got this, you got this. Just go in and just say fuck it." So really, it helped. So thank you.
well, I think
I
especially with a
definitely
song
did.
like that,
Oh
like
yeah. Oh
especially it's
yeah.
like the attitude, bring
Yes.
it.
And I wore my heels and just
Yeah.
a long black dress, very casual but very just
Mhm.
long skin tight black dress. I was
Yeah.
feeling it. It was great. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, I know people who slay in auditions who have used the exact same audition package over and over again for years. And it's just so, it's like breathing to them. And
Yeah.
I made the mistake early on of trying to tailor every audition to be a perfect package for every single audition. It was constantly changing. And like at some point I was like, I'm not going to put that much pressure on myself. I'm just going to go in and like own what I'm good at. So
Right.
honestly, I feel like having an audition that it's like you've prepared this, it's in you, it's solid, you're like piece of cake, like
Yeah.
making a peanut butter sandwich, like it's
Right.
easy.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm starting to get like certain ones that I'm like, okay, this is like for this type of musical, I'm going to use
Hmm.
this one. My
Yeah.
Gimme Gimme is in my
Yeah.
back pocket. This one I
Yes.
feel like is now in my back pocket. I feel really
Yes.
good. So, yeah.
So I love that idea. Since you mentioned that, I would love to see you put together for this year. A good goal would be like putting together your audition binder with like your
Yes,
packages,
yes.
your things that are solid. In the front, have a table of contents with different categories. So I want you to have like these are my ballads. And yeah, I want you to have like different eras. So more like classical musical theater, more contemporary musical theater.
Okay.
I want you
Yeah.
to have these are my up tempos. And again, like more classical musical theater, more contemporary musical theater. These are my jazz standards. These are my like contemporary pop rock country style. These are my
Okay.
Disney cuts. Like have different categories and just like
Yeah.
make sure you have something in every category and make sure those cuts have like a 16 bar and a 32 bar cut from each song that is solid. And mark those, like have the song in there and like organize it with tabs, or you can just flip to it easy, have like your headshot resume in there ready to go so that you would, the drop of a hat or like I got that in my back pocket. Here you go. Let's go. Here's my
Yeah.
headshot. Here's my resume. I got my
Oh, I'm
binder.
so excited. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this like next week. It's great. I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
Getting it just like together. And then two, if you
Together
have
and
an
then
audition,
adding.
they say, do you have anything else? You can be like, sure. And you just show them the table of contents and say, what do you want to hear? And you're
Yeah.
just ready to go. That shows just a level of preparedness and professionalism. And it puts you at ease because you're like, all of those I know backwards and forwards, have like an up tempo and a ballad of a jazz standard, have a pop rock and a country selection, have like a couple Disney ballad up tempo in there. And I would say that would get you like pretty solid if you had those five categories. And it pretty much spans the gamut then of whatever you need to showcase, which is great.
Right.
And then you can always expand. And you also could have like a couple monologues. I would recommend having one that's more like dramatic and one more comedic and
Yeah.
just ready to go, like a 30-second to 60-second monologue that you just have in your back pocket. And you're like, I'm just ready with these anytime you want them.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So
I
you're
had
feeling really
oh yeah,
solid with your
sorry.
Kinky Boots audition. I love that. So then if you were I would honestly genuinely encourage you to like consider auditioning for Matilda. I think that would be such a fun place for you to work with. Consider auditioning for like on stage live, consider auditioning for Carmel Players, which that's coming up. They're lovely. Carmel community players are just genuinely lovely people.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems like it. It's very close knit, and that's kind of what
mhm.
I really want is like,
Yeah.
and same with like the Mud Creek and the Carmel
Hmm.
players and a lot of those smaller, and that's why I'm like I've
Yeah.
been just so hopeful to
Right.
get into Footlight. So maybe
Yeah.
this will be the one, but who knows? So,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
So I
yeah,
think you've got a lot of options. I love that you're re-throwing your hat in the ring for Kinky Boots and you're like, I'm on this. Like, I'm gonna go
yeah,
for it. But just in case, I would also really encourage you, like when you have other opportunities pop up, audition for them. Why not? Even if you take that package, like if you said, okay, I'm going to audition for Matilda and use it as like a practice for Kinky Boots, like go in and do your audition package for Kinky Boots for the
yeah,
Matilda audition, just to
yeah.
like practice
Actually,
it.
I was going to ask you. So, that's something I've been really thinking about doing a lot, actually. In the last, like the last quarter of 24, I was thinking a lot about just like going and auditioning but the thing is if I'm doing that, how would you, like with your experience, how would you respectfully decline a role and not
Sure.
like if I'm auditioning for practice and I'm not trying to actually really got my heart into it,
Sure.
or like I don't have the time, I don't want to
Yeah.
like burn bridges
So
or
I
seem
would
like
absolutely like with where you're at right now, you're still building connections
yeah,
and just getting really comfy auditioning and getting your packages together. So what I would recommend is go to as many auditions as you can find and
okay,
just put on there be like, unfortunately, I'm not available during this stretch. And they're gonna go, then you can't be in the show. And you can be like, but I really wanted to meet you. I've heard really good things about you guys. I just wanted to meet you, show you what I've got. Maybe we can work together in the future. And I really wanted to come in and, get to know you guys a little bit, get myself on your radar, and I really hope we can work together in the future. I would do something like that.
that's
Or
good.
it's
Yeah,
more of like an
okay,
introductory thing where you just put on their like availability. And then, when they're like, why are you auditioning? You're not available. Then you can be like, I just so wanted to meet you. And I thought it was such a cool show. And I really wish I could do it. Unfortunately, I'm not available for this production,
okay,
but I really hope to work with you in the future. And I just wanted to come meet all of you and, just kind of get to know you a little bit. Introduce myself to you
yeah,
and hopefully
okay,
we can collaborate in the future. More of that kind of attitude. I definitely have
yeah,
done that. And as long as you're transparent about that when you go in, that you're like, hey, unfortunately, I'm not available for this show, but I saw you at auditions and I had the time to come in and, I really hope to work with you in the future. I think they're okay with that. They might like laugh because they'll be like, oh, okay, but I don't think
okay,
that that's a bad thing. I don't think they'll be upset about that, particularly if it's more of like community centric organizations.
mhm.
Um, like something I've noticed with Carmel community players, for instance, and like just generally is sometimes shows are pre-cast ahead of time. You don't always
Yeah,
know that. So like when I had auditioned the first time I auditioned for Carmel Community Players, the like only role I could have played was precast, but I didn't know that. And then later someone who works with them all the time was like, "Oh, you're the girl that they said came in and did like really, really great in her audition, but they didn't have a role for you." I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, cool, thanks." And I like felt better because I was like, "Oh my gosh, like they never even reached back out." But yeah.
mm,
But it was just like a precast thing, and it was like, eh. And if you know that ahead of time, it's really helpful. Like another thing I auditioned for, like I would have gone for a different character, and then I found out it was precast. So I was like, oh, then I'll go for this other character. And like it's not my like type, my normal type, but I was like, I'm just gonna go in there and like slay
right.
on and tailor it exactly to that. And then they were like, oh, you're perfect. And they were like, and someone came up to me and was like, this role's made for you. And I was like, thank you. I was like,
Well,
it is
this is
not, but
no, it doesn't.
glad I convinced you.
Yeah.
But I got the role. But see, if I had tailored my
Oh,
audition to the other character, then I wouldn't have gotten cast, right? So it's
yeah.
very helpful to know that, but you have to know people to get that kind of info. So
Yeah, no, that's really great. I mean, with the last one, Carolina or Change, I knew
yeah.
going into it that it was very strongly racially casted. And I told
Mhm.
him that from the get-go. Like I went for, one of the muses, the chorus, I can't remember what
Yeah,
they're called.
right.
And he knew, like when he called me
Mhm.
to, he was like, I just want to let you know, like, you did great. Unfortunately, this is, and I was like, I know, I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring in case you
Yeah,
had an open spot, and then if
I
not,
know.
and then that's when he then asked me to, sorry, there's a spider.
Oh!
Sorry. Oh God, it's on my water cup, so that's not gonna happen anymore. Anyway, well, anyway, so sorry. Anyway, but no, then he asked
Okay.
me to go for Rose, so I was like,
Yeah.
why not? Hell yeah,
Yeah.
So, but
Because you
it's
really, you
funny.
just never know what's going to happen. So I just think at this point, don't let it discourage you. There are a lot of extremely gifted, creative, highly skilled people in this area. Um,
Mhm.
and I really think you have to just put yourself out there and the right things will come to you at the right
Yeah.
time. So I love your attitude. I love how you're making these connections in more of the like cabaret, jazz standards, that kind of world right now. And if that's your sweet spot, own it. And then the musicals that are that style, people will think of you. So they'll be like, oh, wait, she does that all the time. So then when
Yeah.
it's something that's that kind of a style of a show, they're gonna be like, oh, we should reach out to her and see if she wants to audition for this, right?
Yeah. And I just also feel so happy that like I it's silly kind of, but probably not. I don't know. I
Hmm.
officially have enough to put on my acting resume so that I don't have to include what I did in high school. So,
Right. And
so
I mean, I
it's
would
not
say,
or on my,
especially with community theater, it's fine to put that on there. If you're doing more professional theater, you'll probably want to tailor it down. The most important thing on
yeah.
your resume is your name and your contact info. Absolute most important. I would also say for like live theater, your height's gonna matter, and you'll want to put like your eye color, your hair color. Those also will matter. Um, don't put your weight unless it's for commercial auditions.
And don't
Um,
ever put my age. I will never put
I'm
my
gonna
age.
give you a suggestion that's gonna
Ah,
be like unkosher for some people,
no.
but I've had friends do it. I haven't actually done it myself, but I've known multiple people who did this, and it definitely has helped. So I would say generally for live theater, they sort of take like heights very, very seriously. Like, I think that's why my other student didn't get the one role because they hired someone who was like 6 inches shorter than her for their
Oh,
role, right? Um, and I was like, yeah, you might have been the better option, like performing wise. Um, but if you're auditioning for like the ingenue kind of character, wear flats, wear something that like cuts that make you look a little bit shorter and put on your resume that you're 2 inches shorter than you are. So this
okay.
is kind of like an unkosher suggestion.
No, no.
However,
I've
I
thought
have a
about like
friend who's
the.
5'8" and like has been overlooked over and over and over again for roles. And she's like, 5'8" is the average man's height in America, or like 5'10" or even or something. Like,
So you're
and
right
she was like,
there
I
with
don't understand like what the issue is, because she's like, I'm not taller than them. Put me in flats and put them in some like, inch high platforms or whatever.
yeah.
And it's like shouldn't be a big deal. But so she started putting that she was 5'6" on her audition forms and always wearing flats. And she started getting hired so much more often. Like she has performed
Huh.
so much since then. And
I
I've talked
always
to
wear
multiple other
heels,
people who
so
did that.
and that makes me look taller because I'm almost 5'7", so I
Yeah.
always wear heels. Maybe I will not do that, you
Yeah.
know?
Because if you're auditioning for like young female characters, they are absolutely taking that into consideration.
Hmm.
So I'm 5'8", and when I was first auditioning, would storm into everywhere with high heels and be like, hello, I've arrived with confidence.
Yeah.
And they were like, leading woman, we can't cast you till your late 30s, early 40s. And they
Oh,
were like, I can put you in the chorus if you can dance. And I was like, what is happening? But
yeah.
my
So,
friend is like like she's a small person. She's like cute. Like, and
mhm,
so she just wears flats and puts that she's 5'6", and now she gets cast all the time.
mhm. Do you have the same opinions on like I don't put my age on my acting on my
Don't put your
career.
real age, put
No.
your performing age. So,
Okay, because I was gonna say when you do an online thing, they ask for your age, and
legit age, yeah.
I've thought about, and I don't know if I did actually, I might have
Yeah.
on one of my civics put my like a year younger because I was like, I don't want to,
Hmm.
like, I look too young
Yeah.
and I am too young to go for the 30 to 40 range. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, I'm going for the roles that are between 25 and like 35, and or, 25 and 30.
Honestly, that's too wide of a range. So the general range needs to be 6 years. That's the
Oh, no, no.
standard.
I
The
just was
typical
as an
rule
example.
is 3 years younger to 3 years older. However, comma, that does not always work.
Yeah.
I had a coach in LA I was working with, and I was like, man, I just like haven't been getting cast as anything. And then he figured it out. He's like, let's go like 3 year package and everything. And he was like, oh, your agents are submitting you for everything that's too old for you. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, they're submitting you for your real age. And he was like, you don't look your age. He was like, you look so freaking young. And he was like on camera too. Like he was like, the camera ages most people. He was like, it makes you look better. Like he was like, especially with no makeup, you look so young. And he was like, no. He was like, and at the time he like was like, yeah, you need to be auditioning for like 18 to 24. And then like, a handful of years later, I bumped it up. But he was like,
Right.
you're not going to get cast for this stuff. And so at the time, I
No.
started auditioning for like characters who were college students and stuff. And all of a sudden, I started getting cast. And I was like, got it. Because they were submitting me for people who were like 30-year-old moms. And he was like, yeah, no, you're not going to get those jobs. No, you don't look like it. So
Yeah.
you have to audition for what you actually look like. And so I'm 36, but like I told someone that and she was like, oh my God, you have a baby face.
I was just gonna be like, you're
I'm
36?
36, yeah. And
Wow.
so like I don't audition for 36-year-olds
Okay.
because I don't get
Yeah.
cast for them, which is a
Yeah.
bummer because I've been waiting to be able to audition for the leading women. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, and
looking young is not that bad, but
there were two auditions last year that I did that were in that older range. I mean,
mhm,
Rose and Caroline
yeah,
or Change, that even though he wanted me to read for it was because the only,
yeah.
Caucasian female role.
Hmm.
And then there was in Anastasia, the Lily, and I knew that I wasn't going to get it, but I wanted to because it was the style I wanted them to see me, and I felt it was important at the time. But yeah, I'm like, I just don't look, and I don't feel, and I also don't want to cut myself out because that's really, I'm already so like in the back of my mind nervous about time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
okay,
would
thank
say
you.
my recommendation is go ask a whole bunch of people the age you actually look. Be like, give me your honest opinion, what I look like I am.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go a 6 year range. All right. So I'm going to say you look really young. I have a student I was working with Tuesday, and I was like, you are not. She was like, oh, I'm closer to 50 than 40. And I was like, I would have legit guessed you were like late 20s, early 30s.
Do you
And
know
that's
how
only
old
because
I
I know she has an 8-year-old son. And I was just like, no, I don't actually know how old you are. But I was like, Shamara, you do not look that old. I was like, you look so young. And she was like, I am not. And I was like, girl, you are gorgeous. You look so young. I
Yes,
was like
yeah.
shocked. I was like, I would have guessed 28 just because I know you have an 8-year-old son. I was like, legit, like, you look so young. And like, I truly am like blown away by that. But you look really young to me, particularly like if you're like fresh faced. And when your hair is lighter, you look even younger. So,
I know, and I just
yeah.
just
And that's
went
okay.
into
That's
rose gold.
fine.
And I think that was another thing too. Honestly, like I was thinking that was something, I had had my hair with the blonde for
Yeah.
so many years. And so
Hmm.
it became a part of a part of me, but it
Yeah.
also was like something that I'm like, it'll make me stand out. And I'm like,
Mm.
maybe it's actually making me stand out a little bit too much. But that wasn't the
Mm.
only reason. I was just like, I
Sure.
wasn't feeling it anymore. But yeah,
Right.
I feel like I've had a lot more positive interactions and
Hmm.
things like that since I have changed my hair. And
I
I'm
would
like,
also say people in this region tend to be very conservative,
yeah,
which you would not think in the
yeah,
arts world, but they are.
yeah. Which
And
is why when
so,
I do auditions, I wear long sleeves and
mhm.
I have my hair nice and
Yeah.
pretty and yeah, no,
Yeah. So it definitely is a factor. So going in and basically like presenting yourself, being like, this is my version of myself that you want to see.
yeah, yeah.
But
Okay,
yes, I would definitely recommend auditioning for younger characters for you. You look young, so I would honestly be going like, I mean, I think you could play characters that are like 19 to 25 range or even like 18 to 24 range. I mean, if you want, you can go for like later 20s. You just look very young to me. So I
thanks.
would be auditioning for more like young 20s range if I
Okay.
were you. If you like want to bump it up, maybe like 20 to 26, but I honestly feel like you could be going for more like 20 to 26, 19 to 25, like that window. And you don't want to put outside of a 6-year range. That's the standard. And if you do like a big range, they're going to be like, I don't know what that means. So you
Yeah.
put your age range as this to this, a 6-year range. Standard is 3 years younger, 3 years older. However, we're going to drop it because you look very young.
Okay. Yeah. I will happily do that because I
Yeah.
felt like I didn't. I don't know. I was like, oh, are they going to catch me in a lie someday or something? But at the end of the day, it's
That's
none of
not
their
what it
business.
is. It's not
And
like an
yeah.
official like encyclopedia lookup. The age is not your actual age. It is your playable age. So
Okay.
that's confusion for some people, but yeah, it's your playable age, the age
Okay.
range that you portray. You also might want to put your vocal range on your resume as well.
I still don't know what that is. I know we've gone over it,
Mhm.
like just like you've gone through like my scale on a good day, and I think even the Laura, the lady that
Mhm.
hired me on, she was like, okay, like one of the first times that we met, she was like, okay, let me just get a feel.
Yeah.
She
Mhm.
needed me to be like when we did our group song, she had me do the alto part, and I was like, that's
Mm.
different. Whoa. So, but I loved it, because I sit really comfy in it, and it's whatever. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm normally mezzo soprano or
Yeah.
whatever, and I've even been the high, first soprano in one place. So I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
But so that's something, yeah. One of these lessons, if you want, I would love to do that. So
Right. And
okay,
the thing is your voice type doesn't dictate your range. So
right,
you might be completely capable of doing one thing, and that doesn't mean that's your most comfortable area.
yeah.
Um, so like one company that I was working with, I honestly kind of wanted to stop working with because they kept making me do like the lowest alto part. And I was like, I can.
Oh,
However,
yeah,
it's like it was like too many performances, too demanding, and they were just like, we just kind of need more people to do that. And I was like, this is exhausting. It's not fun. It's not really helping my resume any to do these like
yeah,
ensemble things. And like I was like, it's super fatiguing. And I was like, I'm good. I've done enough performing with you at this point that I'm like out. I'm like,
yeah.
if you want like a second soprano or a high, like, call me then.
Call me.
But
Yeah, you're like
I was
I'm
just
not
like,
really reaching my potential here. So
yeah, like and
yeah,
and it was it was wearing me out so that I could, like, I didn't have the vocal stamina or energy to do other things. Because when
Oh,
you're doing like these, tons of performances every week and like multiple weeks, like, I just was like, it's the only thing I can do and I'm exhausted and I have other things I care about more,
yeah,
and so it's not that you can't do the other parts, it's just, do you want to? If I was a lead and I was playing characters who had that range, I would have been like, well, then it's worth it. I'll be
right,
tired and not do other things.
right.
But when I was like doing ensemble, I was like, psh, I don't care. Like, I hate to be like that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, I've done enough ensemble with you at this point. Call me when you want me to be a soloist.
I
You know,
love it.
sorry, pay me
Yeah.
more as an ensemble person or make me a soloist.
Right, right.
Put me in a better voice place for me.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and I think you'll figure out all of that stuff. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So we're going to take a lesson maybe Saturday and figure out what your range is. We can do that just as part of your like initial warm-ups. Our goal is going to be putting together your audition binder or your audition package. We're going to have your headshots. You should have one that's more like smiley, happy, cute girl for like musical theatery, like ingenue. And then you're going to have one that's more like serious for like more dramatic roles in theater. And then you're going to have your table of contents at the front with the different categories. And you're going to also have like monologues and have a couple contrasting of those. We're going to see what your gaps are and then pick out songs to find cuts from for those gaps in your binder categories. And also we actually have like a handful of companies that have auditions this month for musicals. So I would strongly recommend that you take a look through this list and go to some of those auditions. I think the first one is Matilda, which is on the 7th. So that's very soon. But I think it could be like a good practice audition, even if you don't
Okay.
get in. Um,
Okay.
if you did your Kinky Boots audition, I feel like you'd be going more for the mom character than Miss Honey, who is going to be more of like a Disney princessy kind of vibe,
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh,
Anastasia
yeah.
audition kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Um, so yeah, but I feel like throwing your hat into the ring in other areas is a good idea. And then as you're doing more with jazz, I would love to kind of like get you connected with other opportunities that might be good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
good.
also people. I can like connect you with other people as well.
I mean, even just like connecting me with Bob has been such a
Yeah.
positive.
Oh, and Bob knows everyone. Like
Yeah,
Bob
yeah,
might
and I
know more people than
introduced
me in the
myself
jazz world.
to a lady that was playing. She like played a couple different instruments at one of
Yeah.
um, the the nights, and when I got to talking with her, I was just like, oh, I just wanted to say hi, and I thought you were amazing, and I love how you did this and this, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And then I mentioned Bob, and she's like, oh, I love Bob, and I'm like, ah. So, but
I don't
anyway,
know how you could dislike Bob. Like,
yeah, no, oh my
he
gosh,
is a gem.
yeah, he really is.
Like golden heart to the max. I
Right.
adore that man.
Yeah.
So, like, we had 30 people at our wedding and he and his wife were there. Like, I
Mhm.
love Bob. I'm like,
Yeah.
Bob, you were like my best friend.
Oh, that's
I
precious.
literally said to Bob once, I was like, Bob, I wish you were my dad. And he was like, huh? And I was like, I just do.
That's great. No,
He was like, what?
I told Gracie, my wife has a very elderly old man best friend, and he's very much just a
Have I seen him
grumpy
in
old
pictures
man.
with you guys, like at the races?
No, that is
Like
actually
a
another
coworker or
old
something?
man that
Okay.
we love old men here.
Yeah.
So, but no, he's that guy that you've seen in the pictures a lot.
Yeah.
He's kind of like took us under his wing, kind of adopted dad.
Oh,
Um,
that's sweet.
like he walked Gracie down the aisle and he did the father daughter
Oh,
dance with me. And so, but no, just in general,
that's
I was
sweet.
I was telling Gracie, I was like, oh yeah, and I can't wait for you to meet Bob. Like he's just like, and I mentioned the old guy's name, and I'm just like, I think you'd really like him, and like he
Mhm.
gives off very, it's just so comforting, and he calls me kid,
Mhm.
and I'm like, ah,
Ah,
I love it. He's like, hey kid, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? But no, anyway, I wanted to say before I forgot,
yeah.
I texted earlier.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to see, can we do tomorrow at maybe instead of Saturday? I texted, I
Sure,
think you
yeah.
had like a four.
Oh,
Later
okay,
is fine.
yeah.
A four is probably fine too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
I was
actually made a different appointment, a counseling appointment, just like check in. So could you actually do 5:15 or
perfect.
later tomorrow? Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. That
Cool.
sounds great. That's perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll do that. And then
Mm.
like I said too, like I've also really enjoyed this. Like I know this isn't like a lesson, but like this is just amazing
Planning. Getting on
information
track.
and
Yeah.
planning. And like yeah,
Yeah.
like definitely like so beneficial, like a check-in,
Mhm.
like, but
Yeah.
when like I feel really good about the song. I just want to make sure
Mhm.
that I'm not like I think in the next one like tomorrow
Sure.
I just want to make sure that I'm not straining too much.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
little
Hmm.
bit like towards the end of the little cut that I'm doing.
Right,
Um,
because you don't want them to be like, oh, can she sustain this for multiple shows and that
yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
because I can, but
Right.
when I'm like really going for it, I really want to make sure like even just like in the next year, that's something that like I
Yeah.
want to work on if like when I am belting in a higher range to make
Hmm.
sure that I'm not straining. Because I
Okay.
feel like if I push, I'm fine, but I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. I want to make sure I'm
Right.
healthy and like, so
Yeah, for sure.
okay.
You want it to feel good. Well, especially if you're
Right.
trying to do shows and also doing these more like live jazz standard concert gigs as well. It'll like it can start to be a lot. And especially I've noticed when I'm doing multiple styles at once, like if I just focus on one style at a time, it's easier. But if it's like I'm in an opera and then I'm immediately in this really brassy belty role and then I'm doing a jazz gig, it's just like vocal acrobatics like crazy. And it just is kind of tricky navigating that. So if I'm like really vocally fatigued from one and I try to switch to another and my body's like, whoa, now we're doing this technique. And it's like, it's just easier if you stay in like the sweet spot, and you say like, I think too, like we tend to, when we're younger singers or younger performers, we're like, I'm going to bring 100% to every performance. And as you get older, you learn to go, I'm going to bring 85% to every performance.
Yeah.
Which, because I feel like our 100% tends to be like 150%, and then we blow ourselves out. And I have unfortunately learned the hard way that companies are happy to use you up and then leave you behind, like discard you.
Mm.
Like they're like, I will happily use you for this show, and then I will discard you and hire someone else for the next one if I wear you out.
Oh,
And that
that's
kind of stinks.
terrible.
Like I was
Yeah.
told that by professors and people, and I was like, no way. And then I like got to the real world and I was like, oh, you're right. They just like producers only care about the bottom line for this show, and they're like, there's someone else I can hire for the next one. And so you are your voice's biggest advocate, and you have to safeguard that because that's the only voice you get for the rest of your life. Um, and like Adina Menzel kind of blew out her voice doing Frozen. And so now in live concert versions,
Oh.
she took it down like a whole
Oh.
step or like a step or two. Because doing like the high belty thing at the end now, she like injured her voice previously doing it at the range it was before. And so
Mm.
now she always does it like a step or two lower. And
Yeah.
so like I hear things like that and I'm like, gosh, I hate that. Like she didn't have to do that to herself.
Yeah.
And the thing
Yeah.
is like she knows her voice better than anyone else. And like I just don't think any one role is worth hurting your voice permanently?
Hmm.
Like Miley Cyrus is a great example of someone who like destroyed their voice as a young person performing. And it's
Mm.
just like heartbreaking to me. And I still actually love her voice personally. Like I listen to
Well,
like
she's got a
Midnight Sky and stuff, and I'm like, it sounds great. But
very
she has like
neat.
a vocal condition that's like an elderly person's vocal condition. And it's
Oh,
because she abused her voice so much in her like growing years.
I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, so it's like it's really heartbreaking when I hear things like that. And I'm like, she
Mhm.
still can sing, but like with limits. And I want you to have the ability to do literally anything you want with your voice. And in order to do that, you have to do things like say, "Hey, I feel like maybe I'm straining a little too much on that. Maybe we should work on that." And
Yeah.
so that awareness is going to help you long term because life is long and you are young and you have many, many decades left to be a performer, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
Betty White was performing her whole life into her, white-haired years, and we
Yeah.
want that to be you. So,
Mhm.
so absolutely, we're going to work on that tomorrow. We're also going to figure out what your range is to put on your resume, and you've got all that info from the chat that you're going
Mhm.
to lock
Oh yes, I
away.
was just trying to do that, and I'm
Yeah.
so like
There's a
not.
little button that you can actually, if you see the dot dot dot,
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
like
it says
a dot dot
chat.
dot at the chat. It says more, and you can click save chat. Does that work for you?
I got it. I clicked it,
And
so
it
I'm
saves it as like
assuming.
a text doc.
Yep.
And then you can just like transport that to Word or wherever you want.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So now you got
Sounds
all that.
good.
Check out those other auditions. They're all, I mean, I
I
have not
will.
even
Yeah.
listed all of the organizations you could be performing with in this area. So just don't worry about the closed doors. It's all going to be okay.
No, I
I
think
see it
yeah,
as
I have
like
really high
there's a
hopes for
river with like a
25.
fork in it, and it's like that fork closed so that you would be propelled this other direction.
Yeah. I mean, really, honestly though, because I was it was silly, but like I was kind of going through the chain of events and
Yeah.
talking to my wife about like, well, if I hadn't done this or if this had worked out, this wouldn't have happened.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like if I hadn't like I kind of stopped doing my like recording songs just on my
Oh
phone and posting
yeah.
them because I was really busy with auditioning and things like
Mhm.
that. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I just want to like do a song today, And then if I hadn't done that and just been like, oh, my voice sounds good today. I'm going to do this. Why I haven't done it in a while. Laura would never have reached out to me. I would never
Yeah.
have done that. And then like if I didn't like obviously maintain and continue like our lessons and like connection and things like I might have missed out on an opportunity to meet Bob and like so many
Mhm.
things that you never think about of like
Yeah.
just how it works out or it took me how long to tell you that oh yeah I loved singing jazz like
Yeah.
because I wasn't focused on it. So maybe if I didn't have as much, you know, rejection last
Yeah.
year, I wouldn't have, dipped my toe back into jazz. And now I feel very like fulfilled and very like hopeful. I feel like there's so
Mhm.
many things already like planned for me to do in 25.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Good. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have just really good feelings about this year for you.
Okay.
And I know that last year, some of it was very disheartening. And I hate to see that. I think singing should be a joyous thing. So anytime I
Yeah.
see it start becoming something that is like hurting someone's psyche, I'm like, we need to reformat our mentality around this and like our approach too. Um, because it should be something that is a joy for you first and foremost, and then, for those you choose to share your music with. And like my whole thing is I'm like, I can sing at home for myself and my dogs and be perfectly happy with that. And if I choose to share my gift, that is me choosing to be a blessing in the world. So if like people aren't nice to me, I'm like, I will happily take myself and my gift elsewhere and give it to someone who cares and, wants to receive it.
I
And
love the
so
confidence. I
if
love
you feel
that.
like you're in a place where someone is mean to you, like just, brush off the dust and focus elsewhere and
Yeah.
just see it as like the universe is nudging me this way and saying,
Yeah.
hey, and I have found too that when I don't listen to those nudges, the universe will like slam a door in my face harshly and be like, yeah, no, don't go that way. And I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. So trust the nudges and they will take you somewhere better for you.
Yeah.
Not that that's not a good place, even, right? Because I know of so much good that has happened there. Um, but maybe just for you, it's kind of like combos, right? Like I dated someone in the past that I was like, wow, we are a toxic combination. I think highly of you and you're great, but like you and I together are not good. Right. So
Yeah.
it's like not even that they're bad and I'm, like that we're bad people individually. It's just like together, we're not what we ought to be. But then you like put us with someone else. And like I've seen that they're engaged to someone else now. And I'm like so happy because I'm like, oh, good. Like maybe you found someone that like brings out the best in you and you bring out the best in them. But like
Right.
we brought out the worst in each other. And
Right.
that's okay, right? So it's like that is a place I'm not supposed to be. And I'm supposed to be somewhere else. So just trusting that like the current is taking you the right way for you,
Yeah,
for
for
where you
sure.
are in life. And maybe later it'll take you back to that place. And if it does,
Right.
that's great. But if not,
Right.
that's okay too.
Yeah. I'm really excited. So,
Yeah.
and I appreciate always, always, always. I'll always tell you I appreciate your support so much.
Yeah,
So, really,
absolutely.
thank you.
Well, just let me know if you need anything. I will
Okay.
plan to see you tomorrow. Is that going to be, do you want to come in person or do you want to meet online still?
Online's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
because
great.
I can just like finish my work day
Yeah,
and then
just
yeah.
hop on. So we're
Yeah.
first going to figure out what your range is for your resume, and then we're going to work on the audition package. And
Okay.
that's going to be our main focus for tomorrow's
Yeah.
session.
Oh,
Perfect.
which by the way,
Yeah,
I before we go, I know we're about to log off
yeah,
here, but like I um didn't give like a good like update or anything about the
yeah.
Christmas ball, but I was hitting those low notes
I
each time
know.
in the rehearsals and
Yay.
in the shows. I was feeling great and I just it was so fluid, so that was so helpful.
I
Like
was
feeling
watching your
it, you said,
videos that you posted. I was loving them. You
oh,
sounded
thanks.
so good, and you looked like you had
I
fun.
did. I loved it. I loved it. It just felt like I was like, oh, this is what I'm like. It's just what I'm missing, and and it was
Mhm.
so wonderful. And I can't wait to go and do more
Yeah.
in February because it's just so nice. The people are just so sweet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, even your just like your body, how relaxed you were and how you felt free to like dance and move like with your natural body movements. I loved seeing that because sometimes when we put on a character, it's like I have to move this way and I have to gesture this way.
yeah,
And like it creates tension in our body. And seeing you just let all of that go and be like, this is my authentic, true self, and being completely at ease, completely relaxed, completely just genuine and enjoying yourself and just singing for the love of it and enjoying the
yeah.
ambiance and interacting with people. Like that was just so beautiful. And I just was like, if we could just bottle that, keep it,
Yeah,
that would be great.
yeah.
So it was
Well,
like
I'm hoping
beautiful.
to. I've got a little. I'll bottle it and I'll just
Yeah.
like wear it as a necklace or something. I'll
Oh,
just keep it. So, but yeah. But anyway, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you
yeah.
longer, but
It's
yeah.
okay. I had a little bit of flexibility because normally I have summer at 5:30, but she didn't have a lesson this week, with the holidays and everything. So I had a little more,
Yeah.
flexible time. So, yeah, I just the slots that I posted were like between or like right before or after. So I was like, I'll just like fill a couple empty little spots,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it
Well,
was
thanks
easy
anyway.
peasy
Okay.
to meet. So, and I
Yeah.
feel like too, like we're just kind of getting the year started. So planning out, reflecting, learning, planning out. Now I have a really good vision for, our intention moving forward. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
nice.
absolutely. Okay, well,
Awesome.
thank
All
you
right. I'll
so
see you
much, and I'll see
tomorrow.
you here on Zoom
Yes.
tomorrow then. So,
Alrighty. See you then. Bye, Jess. Have a great night.
bye.